There are two men. They live in the same city. They drive past the same streets. They shop in the same stores. They complain about the same prices. If you saw them from the outside, you wouldn't notice much difference. Same age, same average life, same pressure. Both of them are dealing with problems right now. Money problems, stress at work, unclear future. That feeling that life is harder than it should be. Neither of them wakes up excited. Neither of them jumps out of bed feeling inspired. But their mornings go in different directions. The first man's alarm goes off at 6 in the morning. The sound feels sharp, uncomfortable, almost rude. His eyes stay closed for a few seconds. His mind starts talking immediately. You didn't sleep enough. Today will be long. You're tired of this routine. What's the point anyway? His body feels heavy. His back hurts a little. His head feels foggy. This is not a strongman moment. This is not disciplined music playing in the background. This is just a tired man in a quiet room. He reaches for the phone. The snooze button is right there. One tap. 10 more minutes. No pain, no effort. He thinks about it. Then he exhales slowly and sits up. Not with confidence, not with energy, just up. His feet touch the floor, cold, uncomfortable, but real. That's it. That's the whole victory. He doesn't say motivational words. He doesn't promise to change his life. He just stands up. Across the city, in another apartment, the second man's alarm goes off at the same time. Same sound. Same 6 in the morning. His reaction is faster. His hand moves before his mind even wakes up. Snooze. The room becomes quiet again. His body relaxes back into the mattress. Just a little more, he thinks. His mind starts working too, but in a different way. Yesterday was rough. I deserve more rest. I'll be more productive if I sleep. I'll start tomorrow anyway. 10 minutes pass. The alarm goes off again. This time it feels louder, more annoying. He feels irritation in his chest. Why is life like this? Why do I have to wake up so early? Other people have it easier. Snooze again and again. Each time getting up feels harder. Not because he's lazy, but because delay becomes comfort. The first man is now in the bathroom. The light feels too bright. He looks at himself in the mirror. He doesn't love what he sees. Tired eyes. A face that looks older than he feels. Stress written in small details. He washes his face with cold water. It shocks him a little, not pleasant, but it wakes him up. He drinks a glass of water, slowly, no rush. This is not about being productive. This is about being present. He makes his bed, not perfect, not military style, just enough to say, I did something. One small action, then another. The second man finally opens his eyes. He checks the clock. His heart drops a little. I'm late. He jumps up fast now, too fast. His morning is already rushed. There's no quiet moment, no breathing space. Everything feels like pressure. He skips washing his face properly. He skips breakfast. He skips calm. The day starts in stress, and stress becomes the tone. Both men leave their apartments. Both of them lock the door behind them. Both of them carry invisible weight. But one of them already proved something to himself today. Not that he's special, not that he's better, just that he can move. Even when he doesn't feel like it, the other man feels behind. Already. and the day hasn't even started. This is where their stories begin, not with success, not with confidence, with a choice so small. Most people don't even notice it, stand up, or stay down. Just a little longer. Both men go through the same city, same traffic lights, same bad drivers, same long lines. From the outside, their days look almost identical. But inside, they are building very different lives. The first man arrives at work. He is not excited. He is not chasing passion. He's just there. He clocks in, puts his things down, takes a breath. The job is not perfect. Sometimes it feels pointless. Sometimes he feels invisible. Sometimes he feels replaceable. But instead of fighting reality in his head, he accepts one simple fact. This is where I am right now. That acceptance doesn't make him weak. It makes him calm. During the day, he focuses on what is directly in front of him. Not the whole future. Not the big picture. Just the next task. One email, one call, one small responsibility. He doesn't always do great. Sometimes he messes up. Sometimes he feels slow. But he finishes what he starts. And when the day feels heavy, he doesn't escape mentally. He stays. The second man also arrives at work, but his mind is already somewhere else. He's replaying the morning. He's angry at himself for oversleeping. He's annoyed at the world. This job is trash. They don't pay enough. They don't respect me. Again, all true. But the problem isn't the thoughts. The problem is where they lead. Instead of focusing on the task, he scrolls when no one is watching, just for a second. Then another. His attention breaks into pieces. When someone talks to him, he listens with half his mind. When he works, he rushes. Mistakes happen, which only confirms what he already believes. See, this place is against me. During lunch, the first man sits quietly, sometimes alone, sometimes with coworkers. He eats slowly. He doesn't complain much. Not because life is good, but because complaining drains him. Instead, he pulls out a small notebook. Nothing fancy. No quotes. No big plans. He writes one sentence. One thing I can improve. Just one. Today, it's simple. Stop buying random stuff online. Or go to bed earlier. Or walk for 10 minutes after work. That's it. He closes the notebook. No pressure. The second man eats while watching videos. Short clips. Fast jokes. Angry opinions. They fill the silence. They also fill his head. He feels distracted, restless. But when lunch is over, nothing stays. No direction, no decision, just noise. After work, both men feel tired. Their backs hurt. Their heads feel full. The couch looks inviting. The phone feels familiar. Here is where most lives are decided. Not in big moments, but right here. The first man sits down. He allows himself to rest. But he sets one quiet rule. One small thing before the night ends. Sometimes it's painful. He doesn't want to do it, but he does it anyway. 5 minutes, that's all. 5 minutes of reading. 5 minutes of stretching. 5 minutes of learning something useful. Not enough to impress anyone, but enough to move forward. By a few inches. The second man sits down too. He tells himself he deserves rest, and he's not wrong. The problem is that rest turns into escape. One video becomes 10. 10 become an hour. The night disappears. At some point, he feels guilt. But instead of stopping, he scrolls harder, trying to forget the guilt. Before sleep, the first man lies in bed. He's still tired, still worried, but there's a quiet feeling inside. I didn't waste today. Not because it was great, but because he showed up. The second man lies in bed too, phone glowing in his face. Tomorrow feels heavy. Again, he tells himself. I'll wake up early tomorrow. I'll start fresh. I just need one good day. The alarm is set. The hope is there, but the habit is stronger. Days pass like this, not dramatically, not loudly, quiet days, normal days, but they are adding up. At first, nothing obvious changes. That's important to understand. No one suddenly notices the first man. No one congratulates him. No dramatic moment happens. Life doesn't clap. The days still feel heavy. The problems are still there. But something quiet is happening under the surface. The first man starts to wake up a few minutes before the alarm. Not every day. Not perfectly, but sometimes. His body begins to expect movement. He still feels tired, but the fear of the morning is weaker. He doesn't argue with himself as much. He stands up faster now. Not because it feels good, but because it feels familiar. Standing up becomes normal, and that matters. The second man notices something too. Mornings feel worse, not because life got harder, but because waking up now feels like a fight. Every alarm feels like an attack. He needs more snoozes than before. Getting up feels heavier. He tells himself he just needs more rest. But rest doesn't come. The first man begins to trust time. He understands something most people miss. Progress doesn't announce itself. It whispers. He saves a little money, not enough to feel rich, but enough to feel safer. He walks more. His body hurts less. He learns small things, nothing impressive, but useful. He starts fixing problems before they become disasters, and that reduces stress. The second man waits for a breakthrough, a better job, a lucky moment, a sudden opportunity. He tells himself, when that happens, everything will change. But days pass, nothing changes, waiting becomes exhausting, and hope turns into frustration. Something else happens too. The first man fails sometimes. He skips a morning. He wastes an evening. He loses a few days. But he doesn't collapse mentally. He doesn't say, I ruined everything. He simply returns because habits taught him this. You don't need to be perfect. You need to continue. The second man fails too, but his failure sounds different inside his head. See, this is why nothing works. I always mess things up. He uses failure as proof, not as feedback, and that slowly breaks confidence. Months pass. Still no miracle. But the first man feels different around problems. When stress hits, he doesn't panic immediately. He thinks, what's the smallest thing I can do right now? And he does that, just one thing. The second man feels overwhelmed faster. Small problems feel big. Because he's been avoiding them, avoidance adds weight. Problems grow quietly when ignored. One evening, both men sit alone. Same silence. Same tired bodies, but very different thoughts. The first man thinks, I'm not where I want to be, but I'm not where I was. That gives him calm. The second man thinks, I'm still stuck. That gives him anger. Neither of them is a hero. Neither of them is broken. They just practice different responses. To discomfort, one practiced movement, the other practiced delay. Around the middle of the year, something shifts. Not suddenly, not dramatically, but enough to be felt. The first man notices it on an ordinary day. No celebration, no big news, just a moment. He checks his bank account. There's still not much money there, but there's no panic, no tight feeling in his chest, no fear that one small problem will destroy everything. He realizes something quietly. I can handle things better now. That thought surprises him, not because he's proud, but because it feels real. At work, a small opportunity shows up. Nothing big, an extra responsibility. A small task others avoid. The old version of him would have ignored it. Too tired. Too risky. But now he says yes. Not confidently, just calmly. He does the task. It's not perfect, but it's done. Someone notices. No applause. Just respect. That's new. The second man has his own moment, too. It hits him one evening. He's sitting on the couch, phone in hand, same apps, same scrolling. He suddenly looks at the clock. Hours gone. Again. And this time, the thought doesn't leave. Where did this year go? That question feels sharp, uncomfortable. He pushes it away at first, tells himself, life's been crazy. I had no choice. Next year will be different. But the feeling stays. The first man now moves differently through his days. He doesn't rush as much. He doesn't complain as much. Not because life improved drastically, but because he improved his response. He wakes up and moves. He sees a problem and touches it. He feels fear and still acts. That builds something inside, quiet confidence. The second man starts feeling pressure. Time feels faster now. Weeks disappear, and instead of motivating him, that speed scares him. Fear doesn't turn into action. It turns into numbness. He avoids thinking about the future, avoids silence, avoids himself. Here's the hardest truth. Both men feel pain, but they handle it differently. The first man accepts pain as part of movement. The second man avoids pain and stays stuck inside it. Another few months pass. The gap becomes visible now, not huge, but undeniable. The first man has slightly better habits, slightly better finances, slightly better health, slightly better self-respect. Nothing flashy, but solid. The second man feels tired in a deeper way, not physical, mental, a tiredness that sleep doesn't fix. He feels behind in life, and that feeling is heavy. One night, both men lie in bed, same darkness, same ceiling, different thoughts. The first man thinks, if I keep going like this, next year will be different. And for the first time, he believes it. The second man thinks, I don't want another year like this. But he doesn't know where to start, and not knowing feels paralyzing. This is the point where many people break or change, not because life gives them a chance, but because time forces a decision. A full year passes. Not a clean year, not a perfect one, a real year with stress, mistakes, doubt. Life didn't slow down for either of them, but now the difference is visible. The first man stands in front of the mirror one morning. He still sees tired eyes, but something else is there too. Stability. His posture is different. His breathing is calmer. He doesn't feel powerful. He feels capable. His life is still normal. Same city, same kind of job. But his days don't scare him anymore. When problems show up, he doesn't freeze. He moves. Slowly, imperfectly, but forward. He looks back at the year honestly. He didn't transform his life. He didn't win. But he built something rare. Trust in himself. He knows this now. If things get harder, I won't disappear. And that changes everything. The second man also looks in the mirror. He sees the same face, but the feeling is different. He feels older, not in age, in weight. He feels like life happened to him, not with him. He remembers all the mornings he said, tomorrow. All the nights he escaped instead of resting. All the plans that stayed thoughts. And the worst part is not regret. It's confusion. How did time move so fast? He tries to make sense of it. He tells himself stories about bad luck, about unfair systems, about missed chances. Some of those stories are true, but deep down, there's a quieter truth he avoids. He waited. The first man didn't have better chances. He had worse days too. The difference was never comfort. It was contact. He stayed in contact with his life, even when it was uncomfortable. The second man stayed in his head, thinking, explaining, delaying, and life kept moving without him. One afternoon, their paths almost cross. Same street, same store. They don't know each other. They wouldn't recognize the difference at first glance. But if you watched closely, you'd see it. The first man walks with intention, not fast, not rushed, just grounded. The second man walks distracted, phone in hand, eyes tired, somewhere between boredom and stress. This is how lives separate, quietly, without announcements. Here is the truth, a hard truth, a useful one. You don't rise in life. When you feel motivated, you rise when you move, while motivation is missing. Waking up at 6 didn't make the first man successful. Standing up did. Doing small things didn't change his life overnight. Repeating them did. The second man wasn't lazy. He was overwhelmed. But overwhelm doesn't disappear by waiting. It grows. You don't need confidence to act. Confidence comes after action. You don't need clarity. Clarity comes after movement. The alarm clock is never the real problem. The problem is what you practice every morning. Standing up or staying down. If you take one thing from this story, let it be this. Your life doesn't change when things get easier. It changes when you stop negotiating with the voice that tells you to wait. Tomorrow morning, the alarm will ring. It won't feel good. It never does. But that moment is honest. No excuses, no explanations, just a choice. You don't need to fix your whole life. You need to put your feet on the floor. That's it. That's how it starts.